Cemetery. Tell our listeners, will you give us a feel for it? Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, Derry, there's an awful lot of information that is not known about it yet, because a lot of the records that a caretaker worked there up until the 1970s, and a local man, and he handed in the logbook into the Meath County Council to the engineer at the time. Now, it's very difficult to trace this logbook, and if we had that... Now, having said that, to be fair to the County Council, they are doing their best to locate it. But it's some time ago now since we were talking about that. But the sad thing about it is, to me, is that you just mentioned yourself, Jerry, that you never heard tell of it.
No.
And I think that is a shame, because an awful lot of people haven't heard tell of it. And I think there's a lot of people in there, obviously, a lot of them still would have relations, still alive, obviously, the younger people, of course. And I find it very difficult to understand how a cemetery can be just closed up and forgotten about. And as regards cemetery devotions, I don't know how long these devotions are going on, but I know the cemetery here closed in the mid-50s approximately. The last burial there was 1956. And how long these cemetery devotions are going on, they may have been going on before that. It just shows my ignorance that I'm not sure of that. But every other... We've a chapel in a cemetery in Cope, just due south of Stagrennan. We have one east, Mornington. We have one then, of course, west, Drogehda, Calvary, and St. Peter's. They all have their paid respects to the people of past years and family and friends. And yet, here's one now that's been just pushed into oblivion. And I can't understand that.
Okay, so it's one that's been ignored. The last burial you said was when?
The last burial, 1956. Okay,
and obviously there are people alive today, descendants of people, as you were saying, Leo, who are interred in that cemetery. Yeah. Why do you think, why has it been abandoned? What do you think the reason has been that somebody just decided, look, we're going to pay it no more care or attention anymore?
Yeah, well, that's the question.
This is what's puzzling you, is it?
This is what's puzzling me.
Right.
Exactly. Now, in fact, the access route to it was a sort of a narrow avenue with a hedge both sides of it. But that hedge now is all one hedge now and is inaccessible.
So there's no access to it at the minute?
There's no the original access. Now, there may be a sort of provisional access with the goodwill of the landowner, all right. But certainly the original access where the hearse would go up, say, for instance,
yes,
that's all just totally overgrown.
So is there a public right of way, do you know?
Now, of that I'm not sure.
So again, it's in the melting pot and not known. Yeah. This book of records that you mentioned that was handed over, obviously it's gone missing, is that it?
It's gone missing, yeah.
And in the cemetery itself, maybe you tell our listeners, you've been in it, you've both been there. I'll talk to David now in a second. The headstone, there's headstones there?
Yeah, there are indeed, but the most, see, a lot of these headstones are very difficult to read with time. So much time has passed, and the earliest one that we've seen in there would have been 1814, and I'm sure that there would have been other ones in there probably before that, or even ones since that are just unreadable, basically.
Yeah, but you can make an 1814 out on one of the stones there. Yes. And you know that last burial you mentioned in the 50s, is there any of them legible?
There are actually, Jerry.
There are some that you can actually. Okay.
Well, I remember now not an anecdote, but just a little bit of interesting information that a local chap who owned land around that area going back into the early 50s, he was in the cemetery one day in Stagrennan Cemetery. It was still open at the time, and this man came out from either Ship Street or the Marsh Road, and he had a cardboard box on the carrier of the bike, and there was the body of a stillborn baby in it. And he went up the access route and he started digging the hole. And this local man who'd seen him doing it went over and sat down beside him on the stump of a tree or whatever, and had a chat with him and commiserated with the man, of course, on the loss of the baby. But the man finished the hole and he was going to put in the cardboard box, and the chap that was the onlooker said, you better dig it a bit deeper, he says, because he says the dogs will scrape that up. It was only a car. Now, I don't know what depth he's putting it down, but that's, one little aspect of
what, and one of the last burials that would have happened there in the 50s.
Yeah, it'd be early, but 50s.
But obviously that was a person who had a family connection there or something, and felt they were, you know what I mean, interring the little baby in a cemetery, a consecrated ground as such.
Yeah, obviously.
I want to bring David in here. David, thanks for joining us on the show today.
Thank you.
Will you tell our listeners where you're a young guy? What's your interest in this project?
Well, basically, I've always wanted to find out a bit more about my ancestors, and I came across my grandfather's people. The name was Dignam, and Dignam or Dignam, whatever way you pronounce it, I'm not sure, but they originally came from the Duleek Street area in Drogehda. And I've been around a few relatives and relations, and I was talking to a relation of mine, and he says his mother told him that his grandparents are buried in Stagrennan. So it brought me into Stagrennan, you see.
So that's the way and I heard Leo pronounce it there. I said Grennan, but it's Stagrennan.
Stagrennan
is the proper pronunciation.
That's the pronunciation.
Okay, yeah, go on.
And I went into the library and I made a few inquiries regarding the graveyard and said they've nothing on Stagrennan, only from Jim Gary in the Drogehda Society book from 1977. So what I done was I'm in college at the moment, I'm doing web design, and I decided to do a website on it. So I've gotten a few people that are interested in it, and with Leo here as well, he works at the paper as well, and he put the website into the paper too, and a lot of people rang Leo and emailed me, and they've also added their grandparents to the website as well, so I've gotten a few names also.
So you're building the picture of the families that are interred in the cemetery, is that it?
I'm trying to bring everybody back together so people can email me and say my granddad was buried there but I don't know where he is. Basically there's a workhouse there about 100 years ago where
on
my
the
aunts,
site?
And all the people that died in the workhouse in the Mary Road, they're all buried in Stagrennan, you see.
I see.
It was like a homeless shelter for people that didn't have homes years ago.
Yes.
And they're very poor, so the state would have paid for their funeral, and they could be anywhere in there. They could be a plot for the workhouse, or they might have had their own plot. Depends where the government put them.
You were down there. What are you talking about size-wise? How many acres is in it there?
I'd say about an acre, an acre and a half.
Yeah.
And it's very hard to get into. All the bushes are all over the place. There's trees, everything in there. And what I've done was I went in with my camera and I took a few photographs as well. And I put some of these pictures on the website. So there is photographs of the Stagrennan headstones on the website. And most of the headstones are very clear because they've been out of the sunlight for so long.
I see. So they are legible and you can get information from them.
Exactly, yes.
I was looking at some of the names myself, and there are a lot of common names in the Drogheda area. And sure, there are families and relations of people interred there that live today. A couple of names though that caught my eye that were a little bit unusual were McConchy, Conchy, Purfield, and Hillen.
Hillen, yeah.
Yeah, they're names now, Leo, maybe you know, but they're names that I wouldn't really hear in the area.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I don't suppose Purfield would be that sort of rare, really, but McConchy and
Hillen.
Yeah. It's very
unusual names, but the run-of-the-mill O'Briens, Farrells, you know what I mean, Heaney, Murphy, Tinley. I think I have relatives Tinleys myself, to be honest with you. I see all those names there. So, the cemetery is there, the headstones are there. You guys, David, you don't know why this has been abandoned?
I don't know, to be honest. I've been on to the council and I don't know who deals with the exact cemetery. I rang Louth County Council and they say it's Meath, and the rang Meath County Council, they're saying it's Louth. So I don't know what the who's looking who's
so everybody's
charge,
kicking
really.
For touch. You're telling me
exactly.
At this stage. Are they?
Yeah.
What's the status of the church on this? Is it a Catholic burial ground?
Yeah, it would be.
Yeah.
Yes, and it's just for Catholics alone. You have no information that anybody else of any other denomination is interred there.
No.
Well, we haven't any information of that now. I do know, though, that when the cemetery devotions are on in Mornington, that the priest, Father Willie, he does mention to pray for the people in Stagrennan, that it's mentioned all right.
But what is the status? Do you know, does it come, what church or parish does it come under the cemetery?
I believe it's St. Mary's.
St. Mary's, yeah.
Have you spoken to Father Nulty there or any of the priests about it?
I rang Father Nulty and that they don't know much about it. They're saying to me they don't know if it's their parish, or they think it's Mornington, but it's definitely St. Mary's, because when I was doing my family research, I get a death certificate back and it says St. Mary's on it. So like the burial took place in St. Mary's and they're buried in Stagrennan.
Well, I know Mornington was still part of St. Mary's parish anyway.
Yes. So this, you assume that this would be, again, the access to this, you say, is overgrown, etc. You can get on, the entrance is on the Mornington Road, is that right?
That's correct.
And up a hill.
Yeah, opposite there's a man that does tyres.
Yes.
Opposite there's a green gate. You need to get a code for the green gate. Unless you're very strong, you can jump the wall or something to get into the graveyard. So you need to get a code from Jerry McNeese. He owns the land that's around it. And you
can get in there.
You can get in through him.
So suppose what you guys want to do, I suppose you'll have to establish is the aim to have this recognised, that you have an annual ceremony in it, that it's opened again. What's your aim, Leo?
It would be a great thing to happen, all right, because the thing is, the basic aim, I suppose, the foundation of the aim is to actually, we need to get more people with more information coming forward, and given and forming an interest group, to move with it and go beyond the developments that may occur down the road, and hopefully with a positive finish at the end of it all, and we'd love to see that it had that those people in there would have their annual cemetery devotions.
Yes, you'd like to see a blessing there or whatever each year, is that it? And I suppose for the people there, they were inhabitants of the area, you know what I mean? They contributed to life and society here at one stage, and to just forget about them entirely seems a shame, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's really not an Irish thing. I'm surprised myself, to be honest with you. I don't think there's any other factors that may have created a situation, but it's unusual anyway.
David, from your own point of view, you set up this website now.
Yeah.
And you're obviously passionate about this to try and move this along yourself, like Leo.
I'm hoping to try and get some people from America and different parts of the world that might email me, and they might say their grandparents emigrated from Drogehda to America, because there's a lot of emigration as well, and they might have more information as they emigrated. They tell me why they emigrated. Someone emailed me already because they had to go to Birmingham because of work years ago. There's no work in the country, so they left the country.
And they have a link with Stagrennan as well.
They have a link as well, yeah.
The whole thing of putting the records together is a big task. There's no hope, is there, of getting this book? Is this book lost and gone forever? Because that seemed to be a real key if you could have got it,
Well, as far as I know, a Mead engineer, after the caretaker, Joseph Finnegan, died, the Mead engineer was given the book. And I have heard two stories. He lost it or he dropped it into the council. So the county council have the book anyway somewhere amongst their records. And we're not sure where it is.
Have you approached them?
I've approached them. They can't find it. They've nothing on Stagrennan.
So we're in a conundrum here. The church, the council, the land.
I spoke to a chap on the council, Eugene Farrelly. And he's in the section, the environmental and heritage section. And he did say, and I believe what he said, a man, to me, I spoke to him for about 10-15 minutes on the phone, and he seemed very interested in it. And he did say that he would do his utmost to see can he retrace this book,
Yeah,
and
the book. So today on the Late Lunch, what are you saying to listeners? What help are you looking for, David?
What help? Basically, if everybody, you just type in Stagrennan into your Google, and if you can't find it, click an image and you see the map, click into the map, send us an email, and try and get as many names as possible. So if anybody out there has ancestors buried in Stagrennan, come forward, send me the email, the names. My job is my plan is to get as many names as possible and go to add them to the website and try and get the website full.
And would you like ultimately to see this place open, that it can be accessed, and that annual, is that it? And try and identify, that's the ultimate aim of as many of the souls that rest there.
That's it. Try and get it open for many people as possible, especially the older generation. They can't get in, and I'm sure there is older generation people in the town that they can't go in through bushes and that. They might send their grandchildren in to take a picture of the headstone, or they can't pray to their ancestors. If there's anybody left out there that's over 90 now, they might have a grandfather buried there, or a mother or father even buried there.
It's a noble task that you've both undertaken, and I wish you all the very best with it. And I hope today that this can bring it out there a little more into the public domain for you, and that people may be willing to come forward. Now, just to contact you, tell us how, again, the easiest way that people can get in touch.
Basically, the website is Stagrennan Graves. If you type Stagrennan Graveyard into Google, and then up it'll come Stagrennan Graves,
and you can get all the information. And just spell that, because I'm just confused again about the pronunciation.
Stagrennan Stagrennan, Stagrennan.
Okay, that's the and just put that in and you'll find out more information. Or you can give us a shout here at the station and we'll put you in contact with the boys. Listen, it's been great talking to you. I wish you the best and keep us in touch if you make